Hi guys, it's Nancy here and I want to share with you another card process video, and this is using some Odd Girl stamps. And what I've decided to do here is do a little bit of paper piecing as well. So I'm just stamping these images up. I'm just using the Nina white cardstock and then I'm also going to stamp those stamps up using my black Memento ink on some pieces of pattern paper. These are from 6x6 paper pads. This is a Maggie Holmes one, and so I'm just being a little bit fussy about where I'm placing that stamp down, so make sure some of the design show in. And so I'm just going to do that for each of my stamps, and then on these I'm just going to be colouring in the skin tones and then the hair, and then everything else on the shoes as well on this one, and then of course everything else will just be the paper piece bits. It's something that I haven't done for a long while, and especially haven't done with these smaller stamps, and I will admit to you now, it was a little bit fussy. I know they call it fussy cutting for a reason, but yes, it was a little bit tiny, so... But I'm really pleased how the final outcome was. So I'm just taking my FS2, my FS4, and my FS9. These are my go-to skin tones, and just layering them up as you've seen me do before. With these Some Odd Girl stamps, I do like to draw in a little bit of a facial feature, so I've just drawn in the nose there, and I'm using my CR3 to add a little bit of blush to the cheeks. And of course this is some colour combination that you've seen me add numerous times, and again starting from lightest to darkest, then back again, and then just kind of going in and adding any more tone if it's needed. So I've just done her face there, and I'm going to be doing the arms. And that was a bit that was really fiddly, because of course you've then got to kind of cut around those on the other image. But I really like these images. Some Odd Girls are a little bit different to like the Gorgeous Girls and stuff that I've been colouring as well. And they do have these kind of funny legs, but I kind of quite like the funny legs. So just laying down again my lightest colour, then going in with my mid-tone FS4 and putting some of the shading in, and then going over with the FS9 to put the darker shade in, and then blending those out. I will go back with my Stampin' Up chalk marker to just add some matte white tones on top of that. And I'm really pleased with how her legs came out. I thought the blending worked very well. I have just gone back in with this is my my BR1, and I'm just going in with a little bit of grey to put a very slight bit of the darkest tone in. So I'm putting that around her hairline, and then also around her legs, and then the side of her arms there, sort of where the darkest bit would be. And I did realise that I didn't need to be so fussy around near her hands and things, because of course that's going to be covered by the paper. I've taken the BR3 and the IG4, and I'm just blending those in to colour her shoes in, and using the BG1 there as well. So keeping this one kind of quite muted, because I know that I'm going to have more of the muted cream tones dress. So I'm going to be doing her with sort of brown hair. I'm taking the GB2 to just put in where the kind of lightest bits would be, and again, sometimes I concentrate when I'm doing hair and sometimes I don't. And this one I kind of, I think I kind of tried to make it more flick-like, and that's not really how I like doing the hair. I prefer sort of more of a solid blend, so I did kind of have to work a little bit more with the hair, especially with it being curly at the bottom. But overall I'm quite pleased with how it turned out. So I'm just adding my GB10 here, just adding in some of the darker colours, and then going in with my EB5 and putting the very dark tones in. And again, I do fiddle with this hair quite a bit, but in the end, as I said, I think it looks okay. I kind of think I prefer doing the brighter hair tones than I do the kind of more normal hair tones. And then this is just going back with a GB10. And I have been doing slightly more watercolouring lately, so that's much easier. I find that much easier blending than I do with these pens. Just adding the TN5, because of course that mid colour was not really a hair colour, and this is kind of quite a nice tan sort of brown highlight. So I'm just adding that in, and then adding a little bit more definition in there with the GB10. As I said, overall I'm really happy how that came out. Sort of add a little bit more of the darker tones in, to give it a little bit more of a hair-like texture. And I said, I'm pretty happy with how that came out. So just bringing in that lighter colour again just helps just kind of, you know, blend everything in. And then I used the GB10 to do her eyebrows. I'm taking the TN5 just to do her eyes and adding a little GB10 in there and blending those two together. Just looking here, anything else, I'm just adding a little bit of that tan to the jewellery, which I know I'm going to put some gold in. And then just bringing in one of the yellows as well, just to add a little bit of yellow highlight on top of that. I have already coloured the skin in on the second image I'm using on this card, and I just wanted to show you the black hair that I'm doing here. So I've just used IG4 to put my highlights in, and I'm now going in with IG5. The skin on this one did end up a little bit darker and more tan than I wanted. I actually just picked up the wrong pen when I was going to colour, but overall it worked. And you'll see that I've gone over a little bit there on the dress, but that's not going to matter too much because of course I am fussy cutting out her clothes. So I've used IG4, IG5, IG6 and IG9, and this is again like a recipe for black hair that I found on Pinterest, and it was kind of the first time I'd used this combination, and actually I'm really pleased with how it turned out, so I think it's going to be one that I'm going to be using again. These images are very small and fiddly to colour in, so I'm not necessarily getting some of the definition that I want in the hair, but overall I really like the blended effect. So again, just going from light to dark and dark to light again, and then just taking my lightest colour there to blend it all in together. Of course I'm going in just with the IG6, which is kind of the mid-tone one, darker of the mid-tones, to do her eyebrow. And I'm really happy with how that hair came out. So here I'm just showing you that I have actually fussy cut those. And I'm going with my BG1, which is kind of my favourite kind of shadow. And I'm just adding a tiny little bit of shadow to the pattern paper for the dress, just so it doesn't look so flat when I put it on her. And again, this one again is completely off camera, but I'm just, again, adding a little bit more shadow there where it's going to be under her arms. Again, that just helps make it a little bit more dimensional. And then just taking my Wink of Stella Clear and adding that to the clothes before I actually stick them on. And I do love that Wink of Stella. So there you can see I've got my two little girls, they're cut out, ready to go. And also their clothes cut out, and I'm just looking at background for my card. I'm using the Prima Coffee Time paper. I love this paper pad. I bought it and hadn't actually used much of it, so I thought this would be perfect for this card because I wanted to do these two images on a card for like two little friends. I did just cut that paper down, and I'm just using that bottom sort of blush colour piece to add a strip to the bottom, which I'm actually going to stamp my sentiment on there. And that is from the stamp set of one of the little girls, Summer Girls, and that just says Friends Forever. And again, it's just quite simple saying. I am double matting that saying just on a piece of brown cardstock as well. So I'm just taking my normal wet glue and just using my poker tool as well, just to get those on. And as you can see, adding that dress on just really makes them both pop. So there you can see the two girls with little dresses on. I'm now taking some flowers, and this is from the stash that my friend Carrie gave me. And I'm just looking for some pinks and sort of oranges to add onto this card, and so I've got a selection of some little roses there. Also picked out a leaf that I was thinking I'm going to add. I decided not to add the leaf in the end because the green was kind of distracting from the mint green in the background. So here I'm just using my Stampin' Up dimensional adhesive. I do like these. I have now got my rolls of 3D foam, which is much easier to use. Slightly more cost effective than these ones, even though I do love the hexagonal ones of these. I think they do work really well, and I cut around the edges to make sure I can use that as much as possible. So I'm going to pop them up on some 3D foam. And then this is a little die cut from Simon Says Stamp. This is a little coffee mug, and as there's coffee mugs in the background, I thought that would work quite well. So again, I'm using another bit of that blush paper just to fill in that heart. And I'm just going to stick that down with some glue because I didn't really like the background design peeking through. I'm just going to stick that above the flowers. Again, this is going to be a card, you know, that you can just send to your friend just to say, like, you know, come have a coffee, have a chat, that kind of thing. So I'm really kind of pleased how I'm using up some of these little bits I've had in my stash for a while and not got used up. I was just crushing that rose down a bit because it was a little bit too high up, so I have stuck those down. I'm now taking some of my rock candy distress paint, I think it's like distress paint glaze stuff, and that gives a lovely kind of glitter effect on top. Again, I was just looking at maybe adding some gems on top, but I decided not to. And then that is this card finished. So I hope you've enjoyed this card. It is a little bit of a quicker video than my others, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all again soon, guys. Thanks very much. Bye!